Good morning, fellow readers. Welcome to another fantastic episode of the House of Nerd Show. I'm your host for today, Steve. In the left corner, we've got Lauren.
What is up? Your friendly neighborhood buys ready.
And then over here, we've got we got Sergio somewhere. He's over here.
Right over here. What's going on? Good morning. I'm barely awake for you guys today. It's gonna be a good one.
Hope
He's
everyone
only on his second cup, guys.
Hopefully
Two
on
is
my
barely
second
it for
cup of
him.
coffee this morning. So please bear with me over here.
Well, Sergio, I hope you're awake enough to have a fantastic episode.
It's gonna be a fantastic episode. Steve, what do we got going on for the people today?
So it's been a while, but we're finally bringing it back this week in review.
Yes.
Followed by a special segment number 2, which we'll keep that a little bit secret a little bit later. Our main discussion will be on newcomers into the comics. What's it like being a new comic reader? How does a new comic reader get into comics? What's that whole experience like? Then we're going to check in with the Teal Comic Club and see what the discussion was for this weekend. And finally, we're wrapping things up with Cop or Drop. So later today, we had a bit of a hard.
We got a cop or drop this week, Steve.
We do.
Yeah. Do a cop or drop this week.
I hope you read it. I sure hope you read it.
I hope I might have read the book for this week. So
I hope you had 5 cups of coffee that day.
Yeah.
We'll find out. Yeah.
We'll find out.
Right.
Yeah. So finishing off the Cop or Drop, and then finally stay for the end because Lauren is going to be doing a special giveaway to our lovely followers.
Yeah.
100 subscribers on our YouTube. We're actually a bit over that now, which is awesome. Thank you so much, y'all. I have the wheel set up with all the names of the people that were entered that retweeted the tweet and followed us on Twitter. So we're gonna spin that wheel at the end so you can actually see who gets chosen live. So that is super exciting. I'm sure also nerve-wracking, but exciting. So stick around.
Yeah,
I know. I entered multiple times. I created about a half dozen burner accounts. So I'm hoping I get this booked.
This is where I just decided to call Iceman in, and he iced all your burner accounts. So
That's
sorry,
it, eh? Okay,
not sorry.
Fair enough.
We got a lot to talk about for this episode, so let's kick things off with this week in review. Sergio, it's been a while since you were able to talk about all the books that you haven't read. What did you actually read?
That you haven't read.
Man, with all the creator interviews we've had, I really haven't had a lot of time these days to read the books that they've been coming out. So I took this past week to catch up. I'm not fully caught up, but I read a lot of the recent stuff that's come out. One book that I want to get into didn't come out this past week, but a couple weeks ago, OBE, Out of Body Experience. This is a title I haven't seen anybody talking about it. It's not being talked about enough. Very, very cool first issue. Interesting premise, man. Okay, it's set in, I think it's set like 40 years in the future, and the population is decimated by the addiction to astral projections.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah,
that's very interesting.
Right? And so these OBE, these out-of-body experiences, they are what's the word? They're not actuated, but they're brought on by the use of DMT. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what DMT is.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say you might as well tell the viewers just in case some of our people might not know.
So DMT is one of the active ingredients in ayahuasca, right? Basically, it's a drug.
Is it also an acid?
No, that's something else. DMT is
also
meant to open up the third eye, right? In the mind. So that's basically that's the premise of the book. You got this population, they're addicted to astral projection. So like the human race is like kind of in dying, desperate situations, and there's some murders going around happening while in the astral plane.
Wait, so people hold on. So people are getting murdered while in their astral form?
While in their astral form.
See, this is giving me vibes like with Charles Xavier and Shadow King fighting and stuff. And honestly, I'm here for it. Astral projection fighting, when it's done right, is really fucking cool. Like,
it's
I'm already gonna start stop cussing.
So I picked it up on a whim. I saw it. I checked out the cover. I was like, oh, that shit looks cool. Great interiors. Really interesting premise, something different, nice change of pace. It's got a little bit of a noirish, Blade Runner-ish feel.
Yeah.
Blade,
it probably should for what it is.
So I definitely recommend OBE to anybody who hasn't checked it out yet. In fact, issue number 2 is coming out this Wednesday. It's a book that is from Antarctic Press. If you guys aren't reading it, definitely check it out.
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea how to do with astral projection, addiction, and stuff. Like, nobody said it like that. And I'm like, that's all I needed to want to pick it up. So, yeah, I need to find a way to get my hands on it because I don't think my shop gets Antarctic Press normally. But, yeah, I'm definitely going to be asking and find a way to get it, whether it's digital or not, because that's completely different. I love it.
Yeah, and if you can, it's a low print run too, right? So if you can get your hands on it, go for it. Yeah. Highly recommended, guys. Check that one out. Another book that I read this week. I thought I had my copy around here somewhere. Basilisk.
Oh my God, you read our Copper Drop. Oh, I'm so proud of you.
Was this the Copper Drop?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's the one you picked, I thought.
So it worked out good, man. You're telling me it worked out good.
Yes, good job.
I'm gonna share. Excuse me, I'm going to save my thoughts for the Copper Drop. Yeah, it's good.
So that cover itself, we can say that cover.
Yeah. I'll say this much. It was very good. I enjoyed it.
Spoiler alert, move on. Okay.
Yeah.
But what's your top pick, Sergio? If it's not Basilisk, what is your top pick?
Right there.
What is that? I can't quite see that. Let's just. Oh, it's the nice house on the lake.
The nice house on the lake.
Why does everybody want to be in this house? What's so nice about it?
It's such a nice house.
I gotta tell you guys. Hype for this book. Hype to see what James Tynion has in store for us. This I was blown away, man.
Yeah. Were you skeptical at first with the hype that it was receiving? I for sure was.
I wouldn't say I was skeptical. With James Tynion's creator own stuff, man. He's pretty much he's can't miss on his creator stuff, right? Obviously Something's Killing the Children, Department of Truth, Wind, all that. So this one here, I was optimistic about it, and it did not disappoint at all. I'm sure I've seen it all over the time, and people are raving about it, and rightfully so. Very, very good, solid first issue. I like how they opened it up. You see where maybe the story's going.
Yeah,
like this, you got what seems to be like a post-apocalyptic future, and then it cuts back to it's introducing all these characters, the circumstances. You've got this nice house on the lake. So
wow,
right?
It's so nice,
and we can't say why it's so nice because that will spoil the book. And, completely will spoil it.
And listen, man, this twist that they brought in, that James brought in, man, I didn't see that.
I didn't see it coming either.
I'm all for it, man.
Same. Absolutely.
I was like, oh, this shit's good, man. This is good. It's like, and then you have the art. The art is solid. It's right up my alley. It's my style. I'm gonna say, man, his books, the artists he's got in his books, it fits the storytelling.
Absolutely.
Well, and
Perfectly.
I was thinking about when I read it, because I still picked it up, obviously, even though it wasn't cover dropped. Because come on, if you didn't pick this up, what were you doing? And
Mhm.
I was like, James seems to have a kind of niche in his artists he has on his books. Like, I don't even know if
Absolutely.
he's able to completely have every hand, but with his creator-owned books, I'm sure he is. And he you look at Department of Truth, you look at this one, and even Something's Killing the Children, even though Something's Killing the Children is very different from Nice House and Department of Truth, it's still there's things that carry over in terms of themes and styles. And I'm like, James is very specific on what kind of art he wants in all of his books, it seems. And not just like, oh, this book has this and this has this, but everything kind of is similar in some way, even when it's different.
I feel like he's got to be handpicking the artists on.
Yeah, and he's got a taste. He has a specific taste in art that he likes. Even if it's not always the exact same thing, it's in the spectrum. This is James Tynion's spectrum of artists he will have on his books. This is the styles he will have in his books.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. He knows what he likes, and the thing is, it works.
Yeah.
So that was your top book then, Sergio? That's your top book?
That was my top book for the week. I think pretty much far and ahead from the other books, man. I wish we could get a little bit into more detail with the Nice House on it, because there's a lot with it. I mean, you don't need me to hype it up.
Number 2 will come out at some point, and we'll talk about then, I'm sure. I wanted to say one thing because I feel like I'm one of the only people that has its outside opinion. So I don't think anybody's going to agree with me, but I want to say it just because it is a different opinion. Because everybody, again, is like, this is the best book ever and all that. I think it's a great book. I enjoyed it. The thing, though, is that, like, I tweeted about this really late last night, but I really don't like it. And this is in general comic books. It's just a weird thing. I don't like it when social media stuff has an entire page, or emails taking an entire page, or like that. There's a 2-page spread in this book. I'm not going to tell you why, but there's a 2-page spread of tweets, literal tweets. It's like a Twitter dashboard. I hate that, but I understand why they do it. So this isn't me bashing the writer or the artist or anybody for it. It's literally not bash. It's a personal, I don't like it. And so that threw a dot for me in the book, even though it's completely used correctly. It is absolutely necessary. I didn't care for it. And then number 2, to me, Nice House, I wasn't blown away by how good it was, because I think it was overhyped for me, because I was like, this could change my life. It's going to be the best thing ever. And then I read it and I was like, okay, well, this is good, but it didn't change my life. I mean? And so I really enjoyed it. But to me, until you get to the last couple pages where you see some of the art be more horror-listic, it was more of a thriller, which is good. But also, if you watch good thriller movies, you know where it's going. You know where it's going. Even if you didn't predict the exact twist, you know what twist is coming. So I knew the second that book started, I was like, yep, the twist is coming at the end. And I was actually kind of disappointed it took so long to get to the twist, because I was like, where's the dang twist? But overall, it's a great book, and I want everybody to get it. But, for me, I'm not going to sit here and say it was the best thing ever, but James is still doing amazing. So good on him. Like, I get why it's so popular. I get why it's your number 1.
I liked that build up there. From the opening pages, you see what may potentially be coming in the story down the line, and then he's building up, the characters, the circumstances, the environment.
It's a thriller. It's literally a thriller. Which is good though. I love thrillers. So I mean, and I want to expand more.
Yeah. Okay.
So Nice House on the Lake was your top pick for the week, Sergio.
Top pick, yeah.
I love that one.
I also did want to bring in a couple honorable mentions. The first one, guys, Reptile.
Can you hold it to your other side, Serge? Because you got the glare. There you go. Yeah, the other side of your body, we can deal with less glare.
Reptile. So, in case you guys, I'm sure I've probably mentioned it a couple times on this show. I don't read Marvel, like, at all. The last book I bought was several years ago. This is the first Marvel book I purchased, like, for my own personal reading, my personal collection.
Next is X-Men. X-Men.
It's next on the line. So I picked it up, not really knowing what to expect. I think, a little bit kind of, I was cautious about it, right? It's in a universe that I'm not familiar with.
Sure.
But the writer, Terry Blass, did a great job kind of setting the stage for the character in the universe, where it kind of fits in, with like the Young Avengers Academy guys and all that, and giving some background information on Reptile.
Is Reptile just an Animorph?
Yeah, what is
yeah,
he?
so he transforms into any dinosaur that he wants.
Okay.
What? That's
Yeah.
the coolest power.
It's pretty cool.
Diggity. I need to go get that.
It's pretty
That
cool,
alone
man.
is cool.
So I wasn't lost at all. It's just a fun, enjoyable read. The art is solid. Definitely check it out, man. I have to support the Latino creators out there.
Yeah.
So, for anybody who's not reading Reptile yet, I believe it's only it's a 4-issue mini.
Right.
Okay.
Definitely check it out. I'm gonna
Not
be
a hard
picking up
commitment.
it's not a big commitment. I'm gonna be picking up the other issues. Very nice. So I'm happy about my recent Marvel purchase. It's good.
Yay! I'm so glad.
The other book that I wanted to touch on is The Many Deaths of Layla Starr.
I was gonna say we can barely see that gorgeous foil cover because of all that glare and
you gotta take it out of the plastic.
Boom.
Yeah, you're gonna have
take my
to.
books out of the plastic, guys. Gotta leave it in there, mint condition.
You're leaving your fans hanging, Serge.
Oh
Take
man,
the plastic off. Strip the plastic.
Many Deaths of Layla Starr #2. Ram V. Oh my gosh, this guy
So good.
It's too much. I can't take it anymore.
I'm glad you're on the bandwagon, Serge. Finally, thank you.
So you're saying friend of the show, Ram V, is a good writer?
Really?
Wait, hold up. We did have Ram V on the show a couple weeks back, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Okay. It's a magnificent book, man. Only 2 issues in, and I've said it before, so say it again. He's such an elegant writer, man.
He is.
He is. He's just got this poetic style, and he kind of teased when he was on the show. Issue 2, is not gonna be like issue 1. He
was all like, people that had early reviews of it. They were like, "Oh yeah, issue 1 was so fun," and then issue 2 ripped my soul apart. And he's like, "And just wait to see what happens after that."
Yeah. And man, okay, it hit all the beats. It got me in the feels. It's developing. You're seeing the growth of this character, Layla Starr. Death. I can't say enough good things about The Many Deaths, man. Everybody, this is probably my required reading series. Like, you have to be reading it.
You should make a required reading list, Sergio.
I should, man. I mean, there's a couple on there, but this is definitely going to be at or near the top of the list.
So your honorable mentions were Layla Starr #2
and Reptile,
and then your top 3 for this week.
And I would say I'd probably put Layla Starr at the top, where if it came out this week. So I just kind of put that asterisk there. But
okay, wait. With that said, which did you enjoy most, Nice House on the Lake or Layla 2?
Layla 2.
Wow.
Okay. That makes a difference. That makes a difference. Yeah. So Layla Starr overall, even though it didn't come out this week, would technically be your top pick.
Yeah, gotcha. For sure.
Okay.
It's just It's that.
I love that, and I agree.
And how about the art? The artist
Felipe. Oh my God, Felipe is just so amazing. I would really love to get him on the show one day if we could, because he's just unbelievable.
That'd be pretty
unbelievable.
Cool. That'd be pretty cool.
It would be.
So Lauren, we've heard Sergio. What was your week like? Or I guess your compacted week of the last few stuff we never got to really talk about.
Yeah, so I have a couple things. I don't want to talk about everything I got because I've been getting a lot more stuff lately. I swear I keep trying to cut my budget because save money, and then new things come out that are great, and I'm like, fuck, oh well. But we had him on the show a while ago too. We had Julio Anta, and he put in his shop. He has a shop if you go to his Twitter, and you can find the link there. But he's selling signed copies of Home. So if you're interested, he can only do it in America, but that's his signature. They're $5. $5. You get a signed copy of this. What the heck? Like, I was shocked. He's not putting any really upcharge. Yeah, he's so lovely, and he'll ship them right to you. But it was really nice. So I got that. Very excited about that. At the recommendation of people on Twitter, some of y'all the other day, actually, like a day or two ago, I picked up Tankers, which is a bad idea book. It's my first bad idea book. I've been not wanting to get a bad idea book, to be honest. But I heard how crazy this was, and I had to get it. So it's only number 1. I haven't gotten into number 2 yet. My shop has to order more or find a way to get more for me because I paid for it. But it's so freaking ridiculous. It's utterly insane how crazy this is. So if you like crazy shooters, the way it was described to me, I can't remember who it was. So if you're in the chat today and you're the one described to me, please remind me because I forget. But somebody described it to me on Twitter as Jurassic World with a 90s shooter game. And if you threw the Comedy of Legends or Suicide Squad in there, this is what you get. And dinosaurs, Jurassic World. It's insane. It's so fun. So definitely recommend that. And I finally got a physical copy of Milestone Returns. So very excited to actually get them to come back. Static is back, guys. That's exciting. And I did pick up the Hellfire Gallon stuff, and Hellions was the best one of that. So read Hellions if you want comedy and action and chaos. That's exactly what you read. But I'll talk more about that at a later date. My top 3 for the week. Man, that I love him so much. Let me tell you, this is the end of this limited series. It was 5 issues. This is the 5th. I just love this shit so much. It makes me so happy. It's just so fun to read. It's good. And I wish more people were picking this up because then I would get more Man-Bat. Because for those that don't know, this limited series takes place right before Ram V's last Justice League Dark run, where Man-Bat's on. Okay. So it explains why he becomes the way he is, like that, in that form, instead of crazy Man-Bat, So it explains all that, his little journey there. And and it's so good. It's just fun. It's great. It's well written. It's well drawn. The art is like 90s animation kind of style for me, but still a bit modernized. And I love it. And I just think everybody should appreciate Kirk Langstrom more. So you should pick up this 5-issue limited series because it's great. I love him. So
dope.
That's that.
That's a sweet haul.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. He's great. And then my second pick is Swampy Boy. So speaking of Ram V, he is the writer on this, Swamp Thing number 4. I got the B cover, and you're going to see the A cover there. Oh my gosh, like you said, Sergio, he's such an elegant writer, and he's elegant in everything he writes, whether he's writing magic, whether it's science, whether it's realistic prose. He's just so good. And it comes from the fact that I feel like each one of these is his craft. Art is his craft. Science is his craft. Even, being a fan of magic is a craft of his. And that's why he writes it all so well. And this really shows how good he is at writing realistic prose and magic and science, like all of it. And it's so good. So if you're not reading Swamp Thing,
it is like the
art. Oh my God. Mike Perkins on the inks and Mike Spicer on the colors. Oh my God. I would have never thought reading the old Vertigo Swamp Thing that these bright neon greens and stuff and yellows would work so well for a Swamp Thing book. But oh my God. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, that's a nice looking book. So Ram V is clearly, he's crushing it this week, or just in general, man. He's putting out that quality content there.
So those were your at least top 3 and top 2. What was your top pick then?
So I fought really hard with myself about my top pick for this week because this could have been my top pick, to be honest. Man-Bat could have been my top pick. Hell, other old back issues I've read this week, like old trades I've read. Hell, I could have made House of X Powers of 10 my top pick because I finally actually read that this week. And it blew me the fuck away. Like, everybody's like, you have to read. It's going to blow your mind away. I'm going to, I told you so. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Blew me out of the water. But I picked this, I guess, for purely sentimental reasons for my top pick. Bliss number 8. This book is truly a creator book, and you can tell in everything it's told, and you can especially tell that after the main story in this issue ends, when they end the story, after that there's what Sean Lewis called a coda. There's a Bliss coda, it's called, and Sean Lewis is a writer on this, and he kind of he talks about how important this story was to him and how it was cathartic to him and how it really was a placement on, you know, the father-son relationship and how he can relate to it with his own father and then also with his own son and being his son's father. And so the ending of this book didn't make me cry. The ending of the story didn't. But when I read that coda, I was like sobbing because I was just like, holy shit, like this means something. And the coda is so beautifully written. And originally I didn't like how the plot of the story ended. Like it wasn't my favorite because I was like, well, that's how you chose it. I didn't hate it, but I was like, I kind of want something different. But then after reading that coda, it helped me realize that's how the book had to end. It had to end that way. Because otherwise it wouldn't have been honest to the story. It wouldn't have been honest to the story Sean Lewis wanted to tell. And wouldn't have been honest to Sean Lewis, the writer, you know. So I absolutely love it. It is an 8-issue limited series. It's amazing. If you are somebody that can relate to having complicated relationships with your parents, having complicated relationships with addiction in your life or in, you know, the life of others, you know, things like that, this book will have you on the floor thinking about what is existence, and it will blow you away in terms of the art. So
I've got a question because I've never heard about this book before.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I've never heard about it.
Yeah.
What's a brief summary you can give to anyone who hasn't heard about what Bliss is?
Yeah, so Bliss is basically the story. So Bliss in the story, Bliss is basically, for lack of a way of putting it, it's a drug. And Bliss is something that you can give to somebody basically to make them forget all the terrible things they've done, you know, to simplify it. So like if you've like killed somebody and you feel bad about it, you might go begging for bliss, and you might do terrible things to get bliss so you can forget what you've done.
Right.
So and so it's a nice play on what is bliss in real life, right? Because we talk about, oh, this is bliss, being on the beach is bliss. Well, what is really bliss?
Yeah.
And
ignorance is bliss, right? If you
yeah,
what you did, that's pretty blissful.
Right, exactly. It's a good examination into what bliss really is and all that with this, you know, overall, can't think of the right word, analogy, or there's literally a word I'm not using correctly, but and so the main character is the son, and his dad is the one who's done terrible things, and he's continued to do terrible things for bliss, even though he originally started it because he cared about his family and he wanted to protect his wife at first and his son. He started doing more terrible things just to keep getting high on bliss. And bliss comes from these supernatural entities that I'm not going to go into because you have to read it to find out. Right. But it does come from these kind of supernatural entities and beings and all these other things. So there's mystical elements to it, but there's so many realistic elements that, yeah, they hit home, man.
Yeah, it sounds good. And I got to be honest, every time I see a Bliss book, I get thrown off because the main character looks just like Steve Aoki.
Yeah, right.
Familiar with him. But it's like, it's got to be him. I don't know. It's got to be like a buddy of Steve's or inspired by Steve.
I mean, you know, I want to shout out Mason on Comics and Crosses. He has his own YouTube channel where he talks about comics and how they relate to different lores, especially from the Christian perspective. But Mason is also a big fan of Bliss. Yeah. And he's the one that really, you know, when I was, you know, there were parts where I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep reading this. He's like, but Lord, it's so good. And this is why. And it's so good. So yeah, shout out to Mason on Comics and Crosses. But yeah, Bliss is it's worth reading. 100%. It needs to be read. And yeah, the coda blew me away. So props to Sean Lewis for being willing to write a story that's cathartic to him, but also be honest about it up front. Like he didn't just write it and then in an interview one day say, oh yeah, I can relate to that. Like he put that in the book, in the coda. He wrote it, how personal that is to him. And he was that vulnerable. So full props to him.
So we've got Man-Bat, Swamp Thing, and Bliss as your top 3 for the week.
Yes.
Wow. All fantastic reads. They honestly, they look so beautiful. Just a few screenshots I was able to
I pick pretty books at least.
Yeah.
So whether you agree with me or not, at least they're pretty, I hope.
So speaking of pretty books, I've got some pretty books on my reading list.
Yes, Steve. Oh my God. I'm not ready for your first picture.
So
you're gonna embarrass me like that.
Before we get into it, obviously I've got to get into my Marvel pull list. I've got the usual Spider-Man. Obviously, it's all leading to Sinister War, which should be, just a good fun read. And honorable mention, X-Force, we're now into the Hellfire
X-Force.
Gala. The Hellfire Gala has started. X-Force is a part of it. They are the security detail for the event. This book is just pretty much following those cast of characters and what it's like being the security detail and dealing with all of these, individuals, superheroes and otherwise involved in the Hellfire Gala. There's a brief special appearance by some other character who makes things go awry for some other,
Of course, yep.
some other people on X-Force. But it's kind of self-contained to what's going on for them. And it's kind of just showing their part of the story for the night of the Hellfire Gala. And number 3, the beginning of Hellfire Gala. How can you not?
How can you not get for the cover alone? That's my problem.
I know.
It's like,
Marauders?
I don't care. I'm a whore. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Marauders number 21 kicks off the Hellfire Gala. This is the start of the event. For those that don't know, Hellfire Gala is, I believe it's either 12 or 14 issues, all focusing and comprised within one night. It's a one-night event, but you're seeing the different perspectives from the different books. And Marauders is kind of kicking it off because it is, Emma Frost's idea.
It's Emma's event.
This book, I've always loved Marauders books just based on the art alone and the coloring. Like, it feels like it's a Boom book. It's so colorful. Just look at the colors here. This
very
book,
vibrant.
I would say it reminds me in ways of how Hickman writes some of his X-Men stories. There are a lot of seeds planted in just this issue of Marauders that I think a lot of people aren't noticing, or maybe they're just not focused, because I haven't really seen a lot of people talking about Marauders.
Right.
But from the what's going on here with Reed and Xavier to the comment about what's going on with Franklin, in this specific page, Xavier does kind of a bit of a dig at Franklin, because from what Slott is writing in Fantastic Four, he is no longer a mutant. So Xavier does a dig mentioning that it's nice to have some of these human allies like yourself, Franklin, and you can see how that kind of affects him.
Charles is the worst.
Yeah, he really is.
He's the worst.
And then also some of the joy from the Hellfire Gala is seeing all these different characters, whether they be superhero or villain, like Doom, but because he's
oh my god, I'm so mad you posted this panel because we can't talk about what's being said here between two. Oh, I'm so mad because I want to talk about that because that was so funny. Sorry.
There's a lot of juicy bits. There's a lot of seeds planted in this book that I'm hoping will be paid off later on. But it's only my number 3 for this week.
What's your number 2 then? My gosh.
My number 2 is one that you had mentioned, Lauren. Mm-hmm. And it's such a fun book. Hellion.
Yes, bruh. I love Hellion so much. Let me tell you, I was gonna, wait for the trades to read it, but now that every issue is so fun and chaotic, I'm adding it to my pull list. It's done.
I'll say I've only read a couple Hellions. I read the crossover for 10 of Swords, and now I'm reading this crossover for Hellfire Gala. Every time I pick up this book, it is so funny.
My god,
I can't believe how much fun I'm having. So when I'm reading a book, normally it doesn't make me do an audible gasp or an audible what the hell. There's been a few instances, I think once when I was reading Ultimate Spider-Man by Bendis and maybe one other book, where I did an audible what the fuck is going on. But when I've read Hellions, the 3 or 4 issues that I've read, I'll always get to a page and I will have an audible laugh. It will literally make me laugh. It's so funny.
I will bust out laughing every time. And this Hellions issue is no exception. Again, I see Joey here saying, I may have to pick it up. Joey, you got to pick it up. I know you were fighting against picking up the event title, and I totally am with you on that. Just pick up Hellions for fun, man. It's oh my god. You won't be disappointed by just how fun it is, at least.
Yeah, it's honestly hilarious. Some of the characters just, Nanny and Orphan Maker just kind of make the book, because it's what happens if you have all these villains, but they're on a team and everyone kind of gets a clean slate because of Krakoa. So they're not really villains anymore. They're all just mutants. And how does their dynamic work with some other characters like Havoc, right? Where he's a Summers brother and, he's got some kind of prestige from being on the X-Men and being a Summers brother. And how does that dynamic work when he's kind of the fallen Summers brother? He's done some bad things in his past, and so he's kind of with the Hellions and all these other characters that are trying to make up for the wrongdoings. And I can't believe some of the things that they get into in this book. It's just fun. Like, if you just want a comic book that is just a fun read, it's not existential. It's not going to change your ideals and perspective on things. It's just going to make you have a good time reading it.
Oh my God. It's, bro, you brought up Nanny Orphan Maker. Let me tell you, when I first read, because I caught up on Hellions before this came out, and I read the first 4 issues. I was like, who the fuck is this Nanny Orphan Maker? Yeah. Bro, they're so weird. What the actual shit? Like, it's literally like they're like an Adult Swim cartoon, but like not to the extreme of being like, oh, they go too far, it's bad. They're the perfect amount of ridiculous. Yeah. And their entire existence is also actually terrible. Like, they're actually legit probably the worst villains on this team if you think about it, but they're so funny.
Yeah. And then because it's a Hellfire Gala, you gotta have some nice looking fashion.
Gay ass Mr. Sinister here being as fabulous as possible.
Absolutely.
Love it for him.
You've got fabulous Sinister, and then you've got some fabulous
we're all there. If she had gotten her own cover with this outfit, everybody would have bought it.
It's such a great outfit.
Like, everybody. She deserved her own cover. That's Kanan. That's Psylocke.
Eh?
Yeah, but it's not Betsy, it's Kanan. That's a whole thing.
It's the original Psylocke. The original Psylocke back in her own body. So we'll say that. So that's only my number 2 pick. And
that was your one.
My top pick is one that we already discussed. It's Nice House on the Lake.
Ah, man, you like that more than Hellions? That kind of surprises me, kind of. Not completely, but kind of.
Hellions is a fun romp. It's such a great palate cleanser. If you've read a bunch of books and you want, to cleanse your palate, you maybe read some ones that didn't really do anything for you, and you just want a nice fun book, Hellions, check it out. But for me, my top pick goes to Nice House on the Lake.
Steve, I think this might be the first time in the history of comics that me and you have had the same top pick. Yeah, I think that's happened. So that's pretty cool.
I mean, then again, your top pick technically is Layla Starr. So.
Oh, well, I guess, yeah. You had to throw that in there. Eh? Let me have it, baby. Come on.
I will say, as an issue 1, it had a lot of ground to cover. It had to introduce all of the characters, all the icons. It had to introduce kind of the story of what's going on. And then it also has to give you a hook on the end of it. It has to make you want to read number 2.
And and it did.
It did everything. Like, especially in some of the perspectives of the artwork in here. Walter is this character who's kind of the anchor for all the other characters. He's the one that invited them all over. He's the connection, the thread between all of them in a way, and just the way that he's composed. And this is the first page you see him on, and already you're just getting this weird vibe from him. And I don't want to say too much, but for an issue 1 to introduce all of these characters, introduce their dynamics, and then also be compelling enough to give you a twist in what this book is about, it knocked it out of the park for me.
Who's the artist on this issue again?
It's Alvaro Martinez Bueno.
Oh, okay.
Martinez Bueno, yeah.
Thank you, Sergio.
But yeah, we've already talked a lot about it. I think everyone's talking a lot about it, and for good reason. Honestly, I didn't know how I would feel about this book. Because sometimes some of these books don't really hit me, they don't really grab me. But this book, when that twist happened for me, I was hooked. Because now it's like, where do you go from here? And I think that's the interesting part of this story is what all can be done, and especially in the beginning, you kind of see where things are headed.
Yeah,
and it's just like where and how and why, and
well, I think
it's so intriguing. Right.
One thing I'm now realizing that bothered me too about the just how the book was set up at the beginning was it really gave me reality TV vibes. Like, you introduce all these different characters. It's like, oh, look at this person. They're from here. And this person's here. And so that kind of threw me off too in terms of I don't want to read a reality TV book. So I hope next issue we really get more into, each character and more of their people. Because I'm still going to pick up next issue because I still enjoyed it. Yeah. But I hope they don't go that route, because that could really make or break it for me,
I like that. I like that comparison to like reality TV that you did. For me, when I was reading, I was just like, it reminds me of if you've ever been invited to your friend's event or thing, but then they also invited their other friends who also invited other friends, and then you're like, I only know a couple people here, but everyone kind of knows everyone in a way because they know someone who knows someone who knows someone. And I feel for like the main character in this because it's like I've been in those shoes where I've only known maybe 3 people at this party thing, and they've known more, and other people have known more, and it's like it gave me that feeling of feeling alone, but also knowing that you know some people and you kind of want to be social and you kind of want to know everybody. And I'm looking forward to seeing how things kind of go from here because, wow, strong number 1, honestly, a very, very strong number 1.
Very strong. Yeah. I want to see more of the, well, I don't think it's spoilers. The first page of that, the sky just being lit up on fire and what's going on there, how did that happen, and all of that, and it's a very good technique that Jim used it, right? He gives you a bit of what to expect, but then you're building and then that hook there. Sold. Thank you.
Yeah. So my top 3: Marauders number 3, Hellions number 2, and The Nice House on the Lake is my
love
top
it.
3.
Yeah, that's so funny. So Joey saying.
Yeah, Big Brother.
When you guys said social, like the reality TV, that's the exact same thing I was thinking.
You kind of just hit it on the head, Joey. That's kind of what it is.
Yeah, which was cool. I dig it.
Yeah. So nice. enough talking about Nice House on the Lake because there's a lot of other things that we need to get into.
Yes.
Mainly, Sergio, you've got our segment number 2. What are we doing?
Yeah. So out of context panels, guys. We had it on the first episode, I believe, so I decided to bring it back, have a little fun with this one, and I do kind of want to mention it may be a little not safe for work, so if you got any kitties, it's not too bad, I promise, but if you got any little kitties around, maybe put the video on pause or something.
Tell them, hey, we gotta do this real quick. We'll come back.
We gotta do this real quick. So I'm gonna.
What are we getting into?
Yeah, you guys messed up, bro. You shouldn't have left it up to me. Let me open this one up here, guys. So there we go.
Maybe not safe for work edition.
maybe.
No guarantees. You just don't know.
We got multiple reactions there. So let's kick it off, man. Here's the first panel.
The makeup wax is quickly rubbed off. Let go of me. Quit. See these old comics with Batman and Superman and spanking and Jesus.
That can't be real, right? That can't be real.
Oh, it's real. I believe it.
It is real. I promise you all of these panels are real. This is from Batman number 1, I believe.
Number 1? What?
What?
Yeah. So and the female there that's actually Catwoman.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's even perfect. More disappointing.
That's
perfect.
Catwoman.
No, I hate it. It should be the other way around. If that's Catwoman, it should be the other way around.
So I don't know what's going on here. What are you guys thinking? I mean,
maybe they could have recreated a scene for their wedding that should have happened. Piece of cake in Catwoman's face, quiet or Papa Spank. That could have been a callback.
I think it should be the other way. I think in their wedding, it should be Catwoman doing that to Bruce. It makes more sense.
I'd like to see that.
Nowadays, with her character, that's just how it is.
I mean, we always knew Batman from day one. He's dark. He is vengeance. So he's not playing around. Papa, Daddy likes. He likes to spank. So
I hate it. I hate it. Burn it with fire.
So gotta love that golden age stuff. What else do we got coming up on here? Boners.
Yeah, there's so many. I actually know about this. Like, I haven't seen Discount specifically. So they left in my boner. The Joker makes a lot of boner jokes in the past, like in old issues.
So boner didn't mean what it used to mean.
Yeah.
So I hope it meant back then what it means today, because that would be amazing.
That would be so much better.
Who doesn't like boners?
I mean, how many boners can the Joker make?
Yeah. So why are they laughing at Joker's boner? I mean, is that a situation that we want?
Because he has a boner for Batman 24/7. It's obvious.
Maybe he was doing stand-up and, he's pitching a tent. It happens to the best of us, right?
Doing stand-up. That's a pun itself, Steve.
And what's crazy, it made the front page of the local news. So it's quite the headline there, I think, guys.
I'll show them how many boners the Joker can make. How many can you make, bud? What the hell?
A lot.
So, but you guys are saying you guys don't know what, or boners meant something different back then. If you guys know,
I don't remember what it. I don't know what it means, but I'm pretty sure it does not mean what it means now.
I don't know. It'd be funny if it did, though.
In the chat, if someone knows the correct definition of boner in this context, please feel free to let us know.
It says mistake. Steven and Ian, thank you guys. Have said it means a stupid mistake. You know what? Sometimes boners are mistakes, so that definition's not wrong.
A lot of times.
Sometimes they are.
A lot of times. Maybe the mistake, maybe the boner was he got a boner when he was doing stand-up. Maybe that was the mistake, right?
Potentially. Double meaning there, guys, that's for sure. Next up.
When Superman drops in for breakfast the next morning. Why are you standing while eating, Lois? I find it's better for my digestion. I couldn't sit down. These are all sexual, but also, what robot screwed Lois? What?
And
was it Cyborg Superman or something? What the hell?
If you look at the art, I mean, they're making it clear.
Is her ass vibrating? What the heck?
What is going on here, guys? What did the robot do to Lois? I mean, there's no innuendos here. I think this is like they got into it. You know what I'm saying?
I think she had a great night, is what I think. I think she had a fantastic, lovely evening with possibly one or more other things.
I've never thought about how to visually show, like represent visually, how it feels after you do that, and then the next day you're feeling it. I've never thought about that. I think they tried, but I still don't think this is it, and I'm glad people stopped trying because that's the weirdest thing to try to visualize, like make so you can see it.
So I have a feeling we might, with the previous panel, we might have a robot Joker involved somehow.
Oh, it's probably about Lex Luthor or something.
Is she can't sit down. Maybe there's a connection.
Well, and the implications are even worse here because the vibration they're trying to show to represent it, it's coming from her ass. So the implications are even worse.
Oh, you know what it was? It was Bruce. She didn't listen, and Bruce Papa spanked her.
Jesus!
And now she can't sit down. Her butt's hurting. Look at that. Those are clearly butt hurting.
Apparently, Bruce is a robot. It makes sense. He probably made himself a robot.
A robot Batman. And look at Lois's face. I mean, she's grinning ear to ear, so she clearly she's enjoying or she enjoyed the night.
Ridiculous.
She's having a great breakfast though on her bookshelf.
I feel bad for
why not? Hold on,
my Clark right there. I mean, look at
guys. But we gotta look at these comments here because now we have some context. Fortress of Solitude robot. That's so bad. I hate it.
I think we're all missing a key point here. Why is Lois eating on top of a bookshelf when she has probably a table or a countertop somewhere in where she's...
Not that tall, though. The table you sit at. She can't sit, Steve. You're so insensitive.
Neil, people have knees, Lauren.
Look, maybe she used her knees too much the night before, Steve. Don't assume.
Oh,
maybe she was praying. Maybe she was praying at a Catholic church. There's a bunch of kneeling and standing. Maybe
did she meet Nightcrawler then? Oh my God, that's so great.
So, Steve, what you're saying is you want Lois on her knees.
Steve, you gave yourself away. Freud's rolling in his grave.
Yeah.
Sure. Who doesn't want an independent female?
I'm with you, Tara. Like, what is up with why were men so obsessed with spanking back in the day? Like, and it was the men. I don't understand. But anyways,
don't kink shame. You can't kink shame people. It's 2021. Okay, no fetish and kink
Hey,
shaming.
I'm not shaming spanking as a kink. I'm shaming the fact that it was in every superhero comic and all the men were doing it to all the women all the time. If you're going to do it, let women do it to other people too. Let women do it to whoever.
I agree.
Equality, all the spanking for everybody if you're going to do it.
Catwoman spank.
I love it. I love it. I'm just gonna put it out there. Spanking should not be a kink, guys. That should be regular, everyday behaviors.
Sergio,
Normalize it.
No more coffee for you.
Yeah, we're moving on. We're moving on. Next panel. What do we got?
If it's more
Songs are
Sergio, I
tasty.
swear to God.
Well, back in the Batcave, this is the first chance we've had to finish cataloging these trophies since you returned. Gosh, Batman, remember this leather thong? It still has your teeth marks in it. Papa Spag! Papa
Honestly,
Spag!
I kind of love this stuff though because even though it's bad and ridiculous, it's also kind of like at least they embrace the fact that Bruce is a kinky mother, whatever. Like he 100% is nowhere near vanilla. He can't be. He literally cannot be.
Does it surprise you that Bruce is a freak? I mean, he dresses up as a bat.
Billionaire
That should've-
Playboy
that should've-
philanthropist.
That's the biggest tell, right?
Well, and
there.
again, it's not bad that he's a freak. No kink shaming, but let's embrace the fact that he's a freak.
Yeah, 100%.
Honestly, the question should be, whose leather thong was it? Why is Bruce's teeth marks in there? And why does Robin know about it? Why is a child knowing about this leather thong?
He caught them, and Bruce tried to say it wasn't him, but Robin caught him. And just because it's Pride Month, I just want to throw it out there. It was Superman's leather thong because he's kinky too. Next question.
And to answer your question, we all know why Robin knows about Bruce and his late night shenanigans.
Yeah, Alfred told him. Alfred told him.
Alfred would never. Alfred would hide that as much as he could from Robin. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. The important question, whose leather thong is it?
Catwoman's. Okay, we're going back
No,
to
it's Superman's. Pride Month. God, Steve. This is erasure and I won't have it. I'm kidding.
I'm gonna go with Joker.
I want it more. Pure chaos.
Their relationship is some next level. The sexual tension is there. It can't be.
Thank you, Sergio. Thank you.
You know.
You're right. I hate it, but you're right.
And I think I've got I might have one more panel here.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
I saved the best for last.
Oh dear.
All right, what do we have?
Make it rain, baby.
Why would you do this to me, Sergio? I'm in the house. I'm going to throw you. Why would you do this to me?
Who's this? Suddenly,
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about who that is.
Okay,
I'm so mad.
She's blonde, so it's got to be a blonde.
I'm 100% sure that's Supergirl, and that's why I'm mad.
That's awesome.
You would be correct, Lauren.
So,
that is
go away.
Golden Rain.
Sergio, you have to pay me because one, it's Pride Month, and two, because you've done this. You owe me.
Whoa, hold on, Lauren.
Wow.
2021, no kink shaming. Maybe
it's
she's
not
into
kink
it.
shaming.
She's into it.
But it is.
She's into it.
No, you can't say that. You're
she's
assuming.
Reviving.
Does she say she's into it? She goes.
She's reviving.
I hate it. You know exactly why it's bad, Steve. Do not even try to justify this.
Maybe she likes it. She's not saying
so
no.
Bad.
She clearly likes it.
No, Steve, you're in trouble for saying just because she didn't say no means she likes it. No, you're wrong.
Okay, so here's the thing. Those are her thought bubbles. If she didn't like it, her thought bubbles would be, oh no, please stop. I don't want this happening anymore. But instead, it's I'm reviving.
She doesn't have to think it's the worst thing ever to not like it. She doesn't know if she likes it or not. Number one here, you can't tell if she likes it. She's saying I'm reviving. That's a fact. She's getting her power back. What is this? She's going, is this some sort of golden rain? She doesn't know what it is. She doesn't know to like her or not, other than it's reviving her.
So I will say,
irrelevant.
So golden rain makes Kryptonians feel better. I want to see this more involved in Superman and Lois. I want to see it more involved with the Superman comics. Superboy,
Oh
all
my
the
God.
Superboys,
Oh man, I'm sweating. over
Power Girl, Supergirl, any of the Kryptonians. I want to see some more of this Golden Reign. What is it? Where does it come from? I want to see it more.
You know what? Get Jeff Johns on it. Maybe he'll write it for you, Steve.
Hey, I'm with Steve. I wanna make
hate
it
it.
rain. We need more. I'll stop myself there. Another important question: who's Golden Reign? Who's helping out our girl?
Okay, if you think about it, the only thing that logically makes sense. Now I know we're not going for that, but what I'm going for, if it's reviving her, it's got to be from some weird yellow sun that's like dripping or something. Like what the heck?
No. You know what it is. We all know. We're all thinking the same thing.
It's that robot. It's the robot from the Fortress of Solitude.
You know,
After having a
probably.
night with Lois, you know.
And
Why is it only going after the women? Get the men too. Equality. Get them all. Everybody.
I'm gonna leave it with this. My personal theory. It's this guy over here.
Who is that guy?
I don't know who that is.
You guys don't know. You know who it is. You know who it is.
No,
I don't think
literally,
I
I
do.
do not.
That's the homeboy R. Kelly, man. Come on.
Bruh, that, yeah. I don't know what to do with that. I'm just gonna ignore that real hard.
There you go.
Yeah,
case you guys
that.
don't know, watch that episode of the Boondocks, and you know what I'm talking. and with that, guys, that's it. That is out of context panels. I hope you guys enjoyed that.
You ruined it with that last one for me, man. I mean, literally, I'm like deceased and not in a good way. Like I'm just like
I keep asking
I've known that panel, and that's why the second I saw it, I was like, you had to do that.
You know, I
I
keep asking myself, how are we going to recover from this? Maybe we need some Golden Rain. Maybe we just need some Golden Rain to recover from this.
It's a hot day. Bring it.
I need to tell both y'all's women this. They want golden showers. That's what I need to tell y'all's women.
Do it up.
That my fellow readers, that was the next panel.
Yeah. Bring the kids back now. We're gonna get away from that, please, God.
I appreciate the love,
I'm so glad you're enjoying it.
There you go.
So out of context panels, hosted by Sergio, presented by Fetishes and Kinks in 2020.
Seriously. 100%.
Normalize golden showers 2021, baby.
Normalize.
You know what? We can't kink shame here. I can't do it. You know, we just can't. No matter how much we don't agree with it, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No kink shaming and normalize equality. Let's see those Supermen and Superboys and Supergirls and all of them get Golden Rain.
And with that,
moving on from that.
I just said bring the kids back, Steve. You got to stop that.
Moving from that. Newcomers in comics is our main discussion. I think there's a lot to be talked about and said for that. I'm starting off. Yeah. I myself, I only got into comics really and heavily involved in maybe 2012, back when there was like all new X-Men and there was a bit of a all new Marvel going on, and that's kind of when I got into things. Before that, I was just reading up wikis and summaries and descriptions and just that. Right, that was my lore. That was me being involved in the comic world in just that small, minute manner. And finally in 2012, I got into it, right? And from there, now we're here. But it's like you could be at whatever age you are and get into comics. Like it doesn't matter. Age is irrelevant in that. Yep. But I think there's a lot to be said as being a newcomer to comics. Lauren, what are your initial thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, so number one, I mean, think about if you first started reading comics, if you're old enough, right? Which many people are, that they started reading in the 60s or 70s with all the crazy, or, even the 30s or 40s, if somebody's lived that long too, right? To read the crazy stuff we saw and compare it to now. That's crazy of itself. I think there are some things that are similar about being a newcomer in comics, no matter when you join comics, right? Because there's things that are different when you come into comics, right? So if you come in during this era or this era, it's different. But I think some of the things that are similar, no matter when you come to comics, are, you have, it can be hard to come in because you can feel overwhelmed. Where do you start? right? Like, especially with Marvel, where their continuity is a sliding scale and they don't do reboots all the time like DC does. They don't have the easiest fresh starting points all the time. Where do you start? You know, what's a good starting place? How do you know what to look for? And then having people there willing to actually walk you through it and be patient with you. Because I know for a lot of us that are into comics, even if we're still newer, what we do know about, we're like, how do you not know about this? Oh my God, like you should know. And that can actually, even if we don't mean any harm by that, right? That can be very off-putting to newcomers to have
really
that. Yeah, and it's really important that, you know, we make sure, hey, are you new to comics? And like, yeah, and it's like, okay, I need to change my perspective. I'm not talking to somebody that knows even some comics. This person's new, or they only know a certain thing. I have to allow room that they're not going to know even basic things, right? And I think that's important, is to be patient, just like we wanted people to be patient with us, you know, and that everybody's got different perspectives. Like I might say, you know, hey, read Bliss, it's one of the best stories ever. And a newcomer reads it and they're like, you know what? It didn't hit for me. What am I going to do? Tell them they're terrible for not liking it? No, I'm going to disagree, but I'm still going to say, hey, I'm so glad you tried it. You know, if that wasn't your alley, what more are you looking for? I'm going to help them find something that they like, you know, because that's the goal, is to get people reading something. It doesn't have to be what I like. I don't care if people don't read X-Men.
Right.
I don't care. If it's not your thing, that's okay. I'm still going to be bummed because I want more people into it, but it's fine. If you're not into, you know, Home, I understand. As long as it's not for terrible reasons, like you're an actual jerk. I get it. It's not your cup of tea. That is valid. But I want to help you find something you like. So I think we all should try to have that perspective of, we're here to help, you know, and we want to help you find something, even if it's not what we like, you know.
Yeah, I think
there's something for everyone. That's the beautiful part.
Yeah.
There's some type genre style of book out there for everybody that I think can get into, right?
But I think that's a good point that you had, Lauren. I mean, when it comes to being a newcomer, there's so much that is going to deter someone. Like, there's so much, because whether you're getting into Marvel or DC, whether you're getting into Image or you're getting into like an indie, maybe you're getting into Boom, maybe you're young, you know, depending upon age, right? All of that are factors that are involved, and there's just so much that I think there's a bit, you know, too many choices to make, that it can also make someone not want to. So I think there is a bit of there is a bit of a responsibility. I'm glad you brought that up. There's a responsibility on us, for people who do read comics, to kind of look out for a newcomer, to kind of ask them, what are your interests? What TV shows are you into? What movies do you like? Can we kind of base off that genre and find maybe a genre of book that you might like? Are you into sci-fi or horror? Do you like vampires? Are you into the Marvel movies or the DC movies? Like, there's so many questions you can ask a newcomer to kind of guide them and help them. And I got to shout out Dragon Ranger specifically. You know, he said, you know, he's just heavily back into comics for about 3.5 years now. And even for him, I always like the idea of the new Boom Power Rangers books. And I'm a comic reader. Like, I read the books. I've read a few of them, but I think there's so much when it comes to the Power Rangers books in and of themselves that it can be hard to find where to start. There's a bunch of different volume ones. You never know when to jump in and when not. And I got to thank Dragon Ranger, because he sent me a like a reading order of what to read, when to read it, in terms of all the Power Ranger stuff. And
awesome.
It's that responsibility on us as readers to be able to provide a newcomer a way to get into the books, to know where to start and what you're missing and all that stuff.
Yeah, and
the
I
comics community is amazing for that.
They can be, right? It's hit or miss, because I know when I started out, I went into this one comic shop where I used to live, and they weren't as welcoming. They didn't. Yeah. You know, it was hard, because they knew I wasn't a reader. And I guess they just weren't into that idea, which is baffling, because you're running a store, right?
Well, and a lot of people, they don't want to take the time to go through the process of getting into it, because they're already into it, I feel like. So they're like, oh, well, figure it out, kid. When you figure it out, come talk to me. We'll hook you up. I'm like, no, I need help. And from my perspective as a woman, you know, as a white one at that, but it's hard as a woman to get in comics, especially going to shops. Like, it's better nowadays, I feel like. Like, I've had better experiences nowadays.
Yeah.
And also that I'm older too, I think. But like when I was a kid, and I didn't collect comics a lot. Like I collected when I was in late elementary school, early middle school. Then I stopped until about 2 years ago, like because I couldn't keep up with everything. And it was just so overwhelming, and I got focused on other things in my life, you know. But when I would walk in those shops, if I walked in by myself, then they would barely talk to me, especially because I was younger and they probably felt weird talking to kids, a lot of them, which I think is also weird, but whatever. But if I came in with my uncle or my father, mostly my uncle though, they would look right at him. They talked to him the whole time and they barely acknowledged me. I was like, why don't you want to teach a kid how cool this shit is? Like,
That's
and
good.
what at that? Why don't you want, like, what you, and they're probably the same people, I feel like, that say, oh yeah, more women should read comics, blah, blah, blah. But you don't actually take the time to help us get into it. They just do the whole like, oh, but if you don't know this, then you're not a real comic reader. Well, no shit, I'm not. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I want to learn. Help me, because that's my goal now. I will get anybody into comics I possibly can, because that's the whole point. And so I feel like a lot of people rely on the publishers to create a place for newcomers come in. That's what DC does. That's why they reboot. That's part of the reason. So newcomers come in. The publisher does that. But Marvel and Image, all these other people, you know, indies do number ones in that. But you know, Marvel is unique in that they just expect you to have the sliding scale, and they really rely on the community to get people in. If you think about it, because we have to catch each other up. And I would rather we rely on that than the publishers, personally. I'm not saying what DC does is bad. I like what they do too. Yeah. But we should be the number one people that get newcomers in and that educate each other on it, not the publisher.
Yeah. I like, one of the reasons I got into comics is because at that time it was all new Marvel, and they were really going into the digital stuff, right? It was, you get a comic, you could buy it digitally, and you know, they had Marvel Unlimited, which was starting to ramp up, and that kind of helped me. I ended up getting a subscription to Marvel Unlimited, and I was able to kind of read the back catalog of things that were released to kind of educate myself and see how I would feel about actually reading comics instead of just reading summaries. I can actually read the panels and take in the art and know about coloring, look at the font, all that stuff, right? And I have to applaud digital, just because that is such a, the barrier for me, at least at the time, was I grew up in a small town. There were no comic shops. The closest was 45 minutes away, right? Wow. And when you live in a town like that and you do want to get into comics, there's no way to do it because you're a kid. But having the avenue of going digital, doing either Marvel Unlimited or DC Universe Infinite, having those subscription services, having whatever Comixology is doing, all of that is very, very beneficial to a newcomer because it gives them an access to all these books to read, and it makes it easier for them. Oh, I like this character. I'll search the character up and I'll read whatever books are on that service, right? Yeah. So as much as people can kind of, you know, hate on the rise of digital comics, I think it's done nothing but good for the industry and getting newcomers into it.
Ease of access, man. That's what it boils down to, right?
Yeah, we talk on this.
Yeah, to everybody, you know. All you need is an internet connection, and this whole world of characters and universes, and you know.
Yeah, I think we talked about that on an episode where we talked about digital comics, and you know, even though we all have our preferences, the consensus is if it gets more people in and it doesn't completely take away from the prints, then have at it. Shoot.
Yeah, Sergio, what are your thoughts on newcomers?
You know, for me, you guys are kind of touching a little bit on, like, you know, some of the challenges, maybe some of the negative aspects, and that sucks, man. That you both have kind of experienced a little bit of that. It sounds like. You know, I'm like, why wouldn't you want, as a comic reader, why wouldn't you want to share the stuff that you're passionate about, whether it's, you know, Batman or indie comics or Spider-Man? If I'm into something, you guys see me, I'm all over the socials, you know, I'm you know, screaming at the top of my lungs how dope, you know, X title is or whatever. Share it, you know. Why I've never kind of understood that mentality, the gatekeeping, you know. Oh, you know, you're not, you know, a professor in, you know, comicsology or whatever, right? You know, you don't have that history. Well, everybody has to start somewhere, right? help each other out, you know. And I see a lot of, thankfully, a lot of positive stuff on the socials when it comes to the comic community, you know. Um, just kind of people putting each other on to good quality books, something. I mean, I've lost track of how many times I've been put onto a book
Yeah.
that I might not normally pick up, and it's recommended, and just been, oh my gosh, I can't believe,
Yeah.
I was gonna miss this, or I was gonna pass up on it. I picked it up, and I think we need more of that. Like any other community, you're gonna have negative aspects, but
Yeah.
newcomers in comics, yeah, man. We just gotta continue to just kind of spread the love and the good stuff, and I think that's what part of the reason for me, anyways, is why we started this show, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and Ruben here had a question
Mhm.
in the chat. How long have all of us been reading?
Well,
So
like
what's
I
our
said,
reading history?
since 2012 for me is when I
Yeah.
really got into actually reading.
Yeah. I mean, off and on for like 30 years, bro.
So-
off and on for 30 years, since the early 90s.
What was your experience as a newcomer then? Because everyone has to start somewhere. Everyone is a newcomer.
Yeah, yeah.
When you actually started, you must have been a kid or around.
Yeah, I mean, I was a kid, so I just basically, I got into it because of, I might have seen, Batman 89, on TV or whatever, or the X-Men animated series back in the
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what helped me a lot too.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, this cartoon's dope. Let me go pick up the books, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, nothing, I was just a kid. I didn't know anybody. I just, Batman's cool. Let me pick up his stuff.
So
Right,
it also helped that you're in the city that had access to all these different comic shops, so you could just go there and these.
Yeah.
Guys, right?
Yeah, I mean, grow up in Toronto, I'm still here. So we have like dozens of shops in the city.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have to travel very far. Even as a kid, I'd go to like the flea market at the local, mall or plaza, whatever, and pick up
Yeah.
whatever books I'm into. So yeah, so I've never had that experience of, living in a small town and not having like an LCS close by. But kind of being more on the social stuff, I see a lot of people are in that same boat, right?
Yeah.
Which makes it it can be challenging for sure. Thankfully, yeah, the digital is been on the rise for several years now. And I think probably the future, man.
Well, and what's really nice too is that just to expand on that, Sergio, there's digital that helps people a lot, but there's also, great comic people that are actually good to newcomers and great to people, and they actually are able to get them their books and mail it to them, and like you do that, for example. And again, I've bought from you before, so I have the personal experience, not only because we do the show together, we're friends, but you're actually incredibly good about getting books to new people, and you don't care if you know anything about the book. You don't care if it's a book you like or dislike. If somebody wants it, you're getting it for them, and you're gonna find a way to make sure they get it.
Oh,
and I think we need more people like that, that are like, hey, if you don't want to do digital, or you really just want this book in your hands, I will find a way to get it to you, and that's what we need more of, is people that are willing to, even if they can't do it in that way, they're willing to help them track down what they're looking for in some way.
Yeah, man, just honestly, I think, and I've experienced something like that in the shops. You're looking for something, and then the employee would be like, "Oh no, you don't want that. Like it's no good."
Right.
Like, dude, listen. If I'm getting a DM or an email, I'm after this book. Whether I'm familiar with it or not, or I personally like it or not, that's what they want. I'm gonna get it to them. That's how like every single comic shop employee should be. Don't discourage, just because it might not be a particular cup of tea.
Let them figure it out for themselves.
Connect people to the books that they want, however that needs to be done, right?
So I do want to hear, Lauren, when did you start reading?
Again, I read when I was a kid. I didn't collect though as a kid. I kind of did. So that's what's weird. So elementary school, my uncle who lived in this area at the time, he had like long boxes everywhere of comics. He had been collecting for a while. He was one of those people that had like, he spent hundreds of dollars a week or two on comics, just to get them because he loved them so much. And so I saw his collection a lot. And so I would read his stuff a lot. And so because he had so much, you know, I didn't feel the need. I was a kid. I was very young. I didn't feel the need to, you know, invest money in comics when I barely knew a thing about money other than it's money. But so I read a lot of that stuff. And I remember one point reading I think Power Pack books, but those weren't my favorite. My favorite was the Claremont run of X-Men. And I actually read the old black and white reprints that I still have. And I read them from the library at first, and then I got my own copies of them. And I didn't even know until a couple years ago, maybe, or however long, I didn't even know that those were originally in color because I was so used to the black and whites. And so when I realized they were colors, are you fucking kidding me? I could see these people in color and this time period. So I finally got those, and that's why I'm so big on those myself, because I can read them in color now. But then I got off for a while. I read here and there, but then middle school happened, and middle school was hell. I know a lot of people have a similar experience. So I was really big on music and things like that, like listening to music in middle school and video games. And then high school, I picked back up on video games, but that died out a bit. And then I went to college, and then I got back into comics thanks to going to a smaller convention here in Raleigh. And I went with my dad, and my dad completely went apeshit. He bought over $600 of artwork, which he had never done in his life, and started buying every comic that looked cool. And I was just like, you know what? If he's having fun, I've missed superheroes, I'm back into it. So I've been back on it for about 2 years now.
Nice. So just different ranges of how people got involved. I got involved as an adult. Sergio, you were involved as a kid, and same with you, Lauren. So I think there's a lot that can be discussed when it comes to this topic here, Newcomers in comics. To kind of wrap things up, I do want to say, what can we provide to newcomers? So for me specifically, if someone is a newcomer, I would always try to recommend get a library card. Wherever you are, there's a library here. You get a library card.
Honestly, man,
the trades they have are usually so great. Other than a problem I've run into lately is library, because a lot of the actual old trades I have are because of library sales, because they're getting rid of them. They're cleaning them out. And so that's also another thing. Pay attention to when your libraries have their library book sales. All those good comic trades are going to be there. And even if they have the library stuff on the back, I don't care, because if I can have that trade, I'll have it.
Yeah.
And it's super cheap. Just crazy.
In addition to that, if physical isn't your cup of tea, you're not able to actually get to the local library branch, check into Hoopla, right? Get a library card. Generally, the library branches will have some sort of thing going on with Hoopla. Download Hoopla, go to the website. If you've got a tablet or you've got a phone, it doesn't matter what device you have, because Hoopla is available on all of them. All you need is a library card, and you can start there, right? It's so convenient to just get on Hoopla and see what's available, and then you can just borrow it and read it. And I think it's
thank goodness for Hoopla, man. It's a great tool, and that's Steve. You nailed that. Is any new reader, if you have access to it, get on Hoopla. Fantastic selection, and for a lot of publishers, they put. I know Boom is really quick to throw up their new releases on there. So it's not like you're waiting like a year or 6 months or something. In a lot of cases, it's on there. A couple weeks after the release. It's a good tool to have. It's free. You're still you're supporting the artist in a sense that it's not like through other
it's not frowned upon, let's put it that way. I wanted to real quick, I wanted to make sure I touched on these because we had some people on Twitter have something to say. So Joe Loves Comics on Twitter, he said, honestly, I would just say it doesn't matter how you get into comics, just that you get into comics. I started by buying a flash trade, then didn't read it for a while, but eventually bought more, then reprints of comics, and then he got his LCS, even now always learning. And I think that's so cool, man. Like that, even when you think you know stuff, you're still find different ways. And Mark, like whatever way gets you to do comics, I think there's no one way to collect. There's no one way to get your access. However you can access comics and that you like and works for you, do it. Do it. I don't care if anybody else says, well, this is the better way, or I always have to have stuff in print. If you don't, or you have, screw them, do it.
Yeah.
So, and
So I would say to wrap it up, I think there's a responsibility on all parts, right? There's a responsibility on current comic readers to look out for newcomers and to provide, some help there, right? Either a reading guide or look into like what they're actually preferring and try to adhere to what they like for their preferences. And I think there's a responsibility on newcomers. If you really want to get in, there are avenues. Get a library card. Absolutely. First thing you should do, get a library card. I won't say I'm not going to stress that enough. If you want to get in comics, you don't have to spend any money. It's a library card.
Yeah.
Well,
and have access to all these books.
Yeah, and I think it's important too. I don't want to put this on the newcomers because newcomers, again, they're so overwhelmed coming in.
No, I think
remember me. And it's our job as people coming in that when we see a newcomer, we need to be as one welcoming and open as possible and as patient as possible because it's so hard when we're so passionate about what we like. I know for me, I get so into my stuff and I'm like, this is what I like, but we got to just sit down and say, this is their moment. We need to help them. And we want to make sure they can find their passion.
Yeah.
Yep. At the end of the day, to close it out, spread the love, no gatekeeping, help each other out, man. That's what it's about.
And in that regard, another tool that you could use to get into new comics is by going to Twitter and typing in @TO Comic Book Club, joining the Discord.
I like what you did there, buddy.
I love that, Steve.
Segway King over here.
So good.
The Discord is filled with Sergio, Lauren, and a bunch of other people who are just like you. At one point, they were newcomers, and now they're not. And the club is for everybody. The club is it's for newcomers. It's for people who read comics. It's for just speaking about one book to read that week that we all read. And go to @TO Comic Book Club, find the Discord link, and join us there because you could get into nice discussions about things like Philadelphia Volume 2, which is what we read this past Saturday. There were a lot of things to be said on that. We've already talked to Rodney Barnes last week about this book. It was nice to get other people's perspective on it as well. Next week there won't be a discussion, but there will be discussions after that for the rest of the month.
Why is there no discussion next week?
I'm not available. And
okay. I didn't know if there was a holiday or something. I didn't know about.
No.
It's the holiday of Steve. That's why.
Yeah, I'm just unavailable.
Go celebrate Steve that day, guys.
But yeah, any newcomers, any veterans @TO Comic Book Club, join the Discord. You'll have conversations with all of us on there. To end, the final segment of the show, Sergio's favorite, Copper Drop.
Woo!
This time, Sergio has read the book.
I have. I read my books.
Thank God.
Yeah. You proud of me or what?
Kinda, yeah.
You get half a gold star for doing the bare minimum.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
So last week it was a bit of a hard decision because it was between The Nice House on the Lake, which all confirmed it's a fantastic read, and Basilisk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Steve, can I cut you off for a sec before we just get into this? Last week's was Made in Korea. Lauren and Steve, they did their homework. They read it.
Sergio did not do his homework last week.
And so it was voted a cop. I was able to catch up on my reading this week. I did check out Made in Korea #1. It is also a cop from me, guys. I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed the different threads that they had in there. Yes, yeah. I like that, man. Laura, you're so quick with the dialogue.
I mistyped though. It should say make up his F. I typed us. I'm like, this is what I get.
It's all good. Made in Korea, Steve and Lauren voted cop. Cop It is a good #1. Definitely there's some questions. But I like that, man. I don't want everything kind of given to me. I like the mystery. To wait. So I'm gonna be picking up issue 2. If you guys haven't already, pick up Made in Korea. Yeah, not quite an A. I'd say A minus. Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair.
You like the book, but you were still late, Serge. I can't give you full credit.
Okay. Check it out. Let's move on to this week's.
Yeah. If you want to hear our thoughts, obviously check out last week's episode.
Yeah, check out last week.
Mm-hmm. We can hear myself and Lauren our thoughts on.
Yeah, and see if Steve and I copped it. If it was worth it, because Sergio likes it, but.
Yeah, so that's like probably maybe our second or third unanimous cop so far, which is pretty good.
Speaking of cops or drops, Basilisk. Finally, we can get into this book. It didn't make my top 3, but how can anything compete when you've got the Hellfire Gala?
I mean, you make sense, but read Swamp Thing and Man-Bat.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Okay, so Sergio, I think you mentioned at the start that you really, really enjoyed this book. Kind of get into it. What did you enjoy about it?
Everything. I'll start off with just the premise, the mystery. Who are these characters? We don't know what they are at this point. So at the end of issue 1, we don't know. I suspect maybe they were experimented on, or they don't have any memories prior to their arrival on this mountain town. So a lot of mystery behind this. I think Bun nailed it. Who are you? I want to find out who these characters are. What is their motivation? Why are they slaughtering these people? Right? Who knows?
I think it's
are they cyborgs? Are they aliens? Are they superhumans? We don't know.
What interested me in terms of the mystery was, like, there's a reason that this character wears a thing over her eyes, and we still don't completely understand it. By the end, though, you might get a little bit more understanding, but yeah, there's a reason for that. And a lot of this, it's just a good mystery. I didn't put it as my topic either, just because I want to see it unravel, but it doesn't mean I didn't like this book. Like, there's a lot of stuff I read this week. But I agree with you. I love the mystery. The colors are great. The art is great. The story is interesting. I want to see it unfold.
Yeah. How fantastic were those first 2 pages of art? I mean, the art in the whole book is top notch. It's great. Yeah. But for me specifically, those first 2, I guess in the past when they come down from the mountains, I loved it, man. I just
like a sepia tones, monotone colors.
Yeah.
And it almost got like a watercolory style. Not really, but more in that vein. And then they switch it when they come to the present, right? They switch the art style.
Yeah, I find a lot of books, there are different ways for them to show flashback scenes. Some of them will do like a muted color. Some of them will do like panel outline. A little bit more jagged or something like that. Each book offers a different way to show their flashbacks. Yeah, I agree with you, Sergio. I really enjoyed the flashbacks of this. It looked it felt like it was painted a bit. Like you've got like the you can kind of feel brush strokes and the sepia tone, obviously, in the monotone colors. Yep. I liked how it looked, but then I do think it was kind of a drastic change from that flashback scene to the present. And I don't know. In a way, it's a bit jarring. I loved how the flashback looked, but to me, it comes off as so drastic compared to the present. Like, look at those colors. Like, look how clean the lines are. All of it just looks so beautiful. And I feel like the flashback, it has its own aesthetic that, in a way, kind of clashes with the present tense of things.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I also disagree. And what's interesting to me is that, like in Nice House on the Lake, the social media, like, there's 2 whole pages side by side of social media threw me the heck off. But you were like, it didn't bother me, but this bothers you. And I think we're just the opposite, because this, to me, I see what you're saying in terms of it is a different tone. So I can't say you're wrong for thinking that. Like, you make sense, but I disagree in that I still think it works.
Yeah, I don't want to come off as saying it doesn't work for me. I don't want to come off as saying I don't like it. I love how the art looks, whether it's the flashbacks or the present tense.
Yeah.
I think it is something to note, though, that I think sometimes when a book does a flashback scene, I don't know, maybe you don't want to go so far removed from the current artwork.
The style, the styles were too different for you.
I liked it, but it's very weird to see. Like, it's very weird to go from those first 2 pages where you open the book and like you said, it's bam right in front of you. This is the artwork, and then
Yeah.
then you're like, oh, this is the type of book it is. That's cool. This is really cool artwork. You don't really see it everywhere, and then you flip to present tense, and you're like, oh, that's very different.
I mean, so they're both good.
Yeah,
that's the thing. They're both good. That makes it more bearable too. Is that if you go from one art you really like to one that you're like, oh, I actually hate this or I don't care for it, like that's way worse to me. But in this case, it works better because both are good. They're different, but they are good. And I have a feeling that throughout, as the book goes on, it'll make a little more sense into how those weave together.
I was just about to say, I suspect and I hope for flashback scenes they'll go back to that style.
Yeah,
I hope so too.
Yeah, it's really nice. And then the pacing for this book, the pacing was great. You've got the action in there in the motel room. I enjoyed it. It was a quick read. It seemed like a short issue.
There wasn't a lot of dialogue in it. It was very much like it was the pacing, right? It had a bit of a slower pacing, not a lot of dialogue, not a lot of characters to introduce, not a lot of really much of anything other than just the beautiful artworks. Like a lot of the screens that we end up showing, I have to edit them out. I have to edit the dialogue. The ones that I got, like this is at least majority of the ones that we're showing here. There are no dialogue boxes. There are no narration boxes. It is just take in this scene that we're showing you. And I think there were a lot of pages like that. And it does make it a quick read in that regard because you're just looking at the art.
I mean, so what are you guys thinking? I mean, I have a feeling I know where it's going, but what you guys think in terms of cop or drop, and you guys in the chat too? I know you guys in the chat are talking about the art being good and stuff, but would you guys cop this again? What do you guys think, Steve and Sergio?
I'll go. For me, it's an easy cop. Yeah. I thought it was going to be my top book of the week, and then I read Nice House on the Lake. But yeah, this is a great number one. Cullen Bunn. He did his thing on this one. Good pacing. You got your action. You got your background. Art was fantastic. So cop for me.
Yeah, I would say as an issue number one, I think it really did its job. It was intriguing. It kind of enticed you to read more. It gave you a sense of certain characters and certain powers that could be at play here. And though the pacing was a bit quicker because there wasn't a lot of dialogue and narration, the font was great, art was great, coloring was great. All of it was just kind of good. Like there's nothing you can knock on this book about because it was a really solid pick. And I think that intrigue at the end and the bit of action that they show, I think that's a cop for me too. Like it's enticing enough. It feels like it does have a great story in mind, and feels like it's got these characters. It'd be nice to see the dynamic that plays out with them. What about your thoughts, Lauren?
I mean, I'm with you guys. I'm with Dragon Ranger and Ian in the chat. I'm gonna say cop. I'm gonna make it a unanimous cop because, like you said, for something to be copable, it doesn't have to be the most amazing book you've read, right? It doesn't have to be the best thing on the planet. If it's enjoyable, it has all the elements you want, you would read it again. It's a cop, right? And I'm definitely gonna pick it up again. So I'm gonna say a cop as well.
Yeah.
Cool. So House of Nerds Show says Basilisk number one is a cop. Check it out and check out number two when it comes out.
Definitely.
That being said, this is not the end of Cop or Drop. Both Lauren and Sergio have to compete for my affection.
Oh yeah.
We compete for Steve's affections and his acceptance. So I want to make a quick disclaimer. Sergio and I, for the audience, it's mostly for you guys, but also for you, Steve. Sergio and I were talking about our Cop or Drop picks and stuff, and we both felt there weren't a lot of really strong number ones coming out this week in terms of indies in particular. There's Marvel, but that's especially tied to Heroes Reborn, and both of us were kind of like, we didn't really want to do that.
So we're switching it up this week.
We're switching
it up.
Yeah. So Sergio has talked a lot about another book earlier this episode, and so he's picked a number two this week into that. So he's going to try to sell Steve on the number two with what he says about the number one. And I'm going to try to sell Steve on another thing that has, I think it's on issue 3 coming out next week, but it's had 2 issues. And he's aware of it. I don't think you've read it yet, though. So this will be incredibly interesting, but just a disclaimer to you all, that is why we are doing it this week.
Yeah. Lauren, I'll go first. Are you able to, can you grab OBE from the
yeah, let me see if I can
Read-
pull it up for you. Yeah,
that'd be
let me.
dope.
Yeah, give me
So
a
I
second.
mean, I just spoiled it. So we're gonna go with issue number 2. My pick is OBE number 2. It's out this week. I spoke about it earlier in the week in review. It's a very interesting and unique premise, Steve. I'm telling you, man, it's something different.
Okay.
Um,
You did talk
I
about like the whole drug stuff with
No, that was the astral projection one. Yeah.
Yeah,
the astral
but
projection.
there was the DMT with astral projection, right?
This is the one. So the OBEs are activated by DMT.
Right.
It's neo noir, crime murder mystery set in the future. It's the book, the art style, the environment has a Blade Runner ish feel to it, look to it. You got so it's a darker book, but it's interspersed with you like your neons and your bright colors and stuff.
Did you
Very
did you
very
want me to read the summary here at some point, Serge? Or are you good?
So issue 2 races frantically into the thrilling neo-noir sci-fi comic book event. Whoa!
It's an event.
Event.
That is OBE. As tensions and mystery murders escalate, Cole and Amari visit the enigmatic Club Industria looking for clues. So continues on the murder mystery. What's going on here? What in the universe, it was previously thought that you couldn't harm or murder anyone while in the astral
And
plane.
it talks about that here. Like in the summary,
Yeah.
it continues that he has to go to the one place he loathes and fears, the astral plane itself.
Mhm.
So that's interesting.
Yeah. I honestly feel like, Steve, man, no word of a lie. You're gonna like it's pretty good stuff, man.
Right.
Yeah. I almost feel like we don't even need to go, like, Lauren, you don't even have to do your thing. You can just go ahead and pick OBE.
I was gonna say, yeah,
and then-
I don't need to do anything apparently. Just for shits and giggles, I'll put something up.
yeah.
So okay, as a disclaimer, Ian also mentions be sure to not confuse it with out of body,
Yeah.
Which is aftershock.
different-
Yes.
which is an
Aftershock.
Yeah, they're incredibly easy to mix up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So a shout out to Ian for bringing that to our
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah.
Sergio, you talked about number 1 at the beginning in this week in review. It sounded like it had a cool premise.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Lauren, what do you got to talk about?
So, this is a actually very interesting series I've kind of fallen off of, me personally, because my LCS said they were going to get it for me. Then they canceled the order and didn't tell me. So I still need to figure out what's happened with it. So next week, Black Cotton number 3 is coming out. Those of you that might have heard of it, Black Cotton number 1, that line is a line where they basically reverse the roles of Black people and white people, and that the Black people are the rich ones running the cops and stuff, and the white people are, the more victims and the preyed upon. So it's a reversal. And so it's one of those things that handled incorrectly could go very wrong and could be not great. But the team on this is amazing. This was the cover for Black Con number 1. This is the first printing. Again, I'm behind, but I did read the first issue of it. I really enjoyed it. Basically what happens in the first issue, it's already been out, so I don't feel bad spoiling it. It came out in February.
Came out a while back.
Yeah, so an elite family, the Cottons, are rocked by a tragic shooting that begins to unravel the long-standing of family secrets that could not only destroy the family, but the fragile social climate of the world. And so basically this Black cop who's part of the Cottons, he shoots a white woman wearing a hood, wink, wink. And there are things that happen because of it. There are people getting upset, all this stuff. And I just want to show this second printing cover is just great. Like, I really enjoy that cover. And so number 2 continues to expand on it and continues to explore this different world and all the intricacies of it. And from what I've heard about the continuing issues as well, it's a good read. I think it's an important book. And so I think it's worth reading for sure. So, I think it would be cool to catch up on it and see what's been happening and all that good stuff. Sergio, I'm about to hide your screen or something. No, I'm kidding.
That's it. Right there. Steve, it's dope.
But yeah,
literally.
What's the chat thinking? I'm curious. I mean, I'm not going to be hurt because I think these are both good picks. So
yeah. In all honesty, both solid picks. I've also read Black Hawk #1. Dope content from the big homie Brian Hawkins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brian Hawkins is great.
But having said that,
But closing arguments are done.
closing argument, right there. Yeah.
Lauren, you're really putting this white male on the spot, making a decision about a racially diverse book.
I think we all need to be uncomfortable at some point. I was uncomfortable earlier this episode. It's your turn.
Oh man, oh man. I honestly, the Black Hawk is definitely a book that sounds like it needs to be checked out. It does sound like a book that everyone should read, and I hope it does what it. It's such a hard premise to deal with because you have to get it right. There's really no area for you to make any mistakes on that.
It helps that the creators are Black, so that really helps. It's not written, by a white cis man. So, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. I have a feeling your pick is though, Steve. What's your pick?
Commitment involved there, Steve. So.
You said not a lot of commitment involved in OBE.
Only 4 issues.
But it's by Arctic Press. It's a lot harder to get.
It's true.
That's a factor, unfortunately.
I mean, Black Cotton is Scout, right? Which
yes,
it is.
Scout will be digital. Yeah.
Yeah, so you will be able to get it digitally from Scout's website, which does make it more accessible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Wow. I don't know what to choose because they both sound cool. Out of Body just sounds like it's a fun noir book, and I love the astral projection stuff. But then Black Cotton is how do you not want everyone to kind of read that and pick something from it? Oh,
all right, final call. Go with your gut, Steve. Whatever it is, there's no wrong answer here. Full disclosure.
My gut says OBE because
let's do it.
Astral projection, sci-fi, Blade Runner just sounds like a lot of fun.
Respect, fam.
And at the end of the day, sometimes we just need like a book like Hellions.
Oh, I agree.
Body, which is just a fun romp.
You guys are gonna enjoy
let's do it.
It's cool. Yeah, man.
And we got questions here that people are asking, where can you get a digital copy? That's a great question, Ian, because Sergio and I were talking earlier about our picks, right? And I was trying to check NR Press's website, and they do have digital PDFs of comics, but I'm not sure if Out of Body Experience is on there. So we'll keep you guys posted because we want to make sure you guys can read it too. But I also have to find out how I'm going to read it. Because my shop doesn't get that, so we're gonna find a way, and we'll keep you guys posted. So, keep following us on Twitter, and we'll give you guys an update.
Yeah, I mean, it turns out check the Antarctic Press website, and probably have some luck there.
And if it does turn out that maybe not everyone's able to get access to this, maybe Lauren, you're not able to find it, or whatever, there might be changes.
Ian just said it's not on there.
Oh, okay.
Sergio, we're gonna need you to hook us all up.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is OnlyFans stream tonight. We're gonna do a read along.
I love that. I think that's a great idea.
Okay, so for anybody who doesn't have access to it, DM me and I'll.
But what if we have kids that are fans of you, Serge? They can't get on your OnlyFans. They're children.
I will 18+ stream.
No. You need to. No, you should do story time on our channel. That's what you should do.
Something to think about. Something to think about. Hopefully everybody has access to the book. Like Lauren and Steve said, we'll try to we'll update the people on the social.
Yeah, I'll search around and see where you can get and see if I can find something to help all of us out, especially the rest of y'all. So I got you.
Yeah. Cool. So next week's Copper Drop is Out of Body Experience by Antarctic Press.
Sick.
That finishes up Copper Drop, but we're not done the show yet. I know it's kind of running a little bit long, but Lauren, you've got a giveaway to kind of.
Yes, y'all have held on this long as you watching, so thank you for hanging in there. We have over 100 subscribers on our YouTube, so that's super exciting, and we wanted to celebrate that. So we did a giveaway on the Twitter with what was it? It Eats What It Feeds It, and some Deadpool books, and of course some House of Nerd merch. So I'm gonna spin the wheel right now, and we're gonna all see together who the winner is. So I am actually very nervous.
I'm nervous.
I'm like, who's gonna get it? Because that means I get to make somebody happy. So I'm very excited about that. So
Is it? There we go.
Oh man, and we got all the people there. Lauren, do you want to maybe shuffle the deck there? Yeah, look at that. Thank you for all
All
the
right.
entries, guys.
Yes, thank you guys. And yeah, I hope whoever gets it is very excited to get it. So
Nice.
let's go ahead. Drum roll. Anybody? No? Okay.
Who do we got? Who do we got? Who do we got? Oh,
Ooh.
All righty. We got at Woody Style. I believe his his title is Papa or something on Twitter. So he is the winner.
Yeah. Congratulations, my man,
Congrats.
Woody Styles. Yes, that's awesome. He's actually, it's funny. He's local to the Toronto area, so
Nice.
how that works out, eh? Yeah, man.
Very cool. So yeah, so that is our giveaway winner. I know, Ian, you were
Hey,
so
it's
close,
so
Ian.
close.
I know. I felt bad because I saw your comment earlier about like, oh, they're not gonna ship to Japan. Ian, if you want, I would ship in a heartbeat. I would pay. Don't even.
Absolutely.
Don't even. I have no problem doing that for
Yeah.
you. So yeah, congrats to at Woody Style. So hype about that, and we'll make sure that gets shipped out to you probably tomorrow. So we got you.
So hit up Lauren. Do you want him to hit you up in on your DMs on your personal account or?
Yeah, I mean, if he's watching or whatever, yeah, definitely hit me up. If not, I'll reach out to him, of course, because I know, he might be busy now or something. So, but yeah, so I'm the one in charge of this giveaway, so I'll make sure that gets to him.
Perfect. And if you want to be included in more giveaways, obviously hit the subscribe button and follow us on Twitter at House of Nerd Show.
Yeah.
We've done plenty of giveaways so far, and they're only going to keep coming when we reach certain milestones, when certain things happen. Obviously, we're just here to celebrate with you guys, and we want to give back to the community that we have watching us and growing with us.
That's it. Just giving back to the community. What did we say earlier? Just
exactly. With next week's episode, Steve, do you want to go ahead and give them the one thing that's going to be different about it?
I won't be here.
Yeah, that's it.
So the interesting part is I chose a book that I don't necessarily need to read for next week.
That's right. Yeah.
You can come back and talk about it the next week, Steve.
Yeah.
I could, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Steve's not going to be here next week, y'all. He's got other commitments on the weekend, which absolutely. So we hope everything goes well. So we are going to have a guest host next week with us. We're still going to do all our segments. We can review a second segment. That's not changing. We're just going to have another fellow comic nerd who might have their own YouTube channel as well come join us. So we will reveal that probably next couple of days on Twitter. So we're going to have a guest host on and we're going to have a great time trying it out. And, again, hopefully if it goes well, then in the future, we'd love to have more comic nerds like you guys that want to be a part of it, come on the show eventually in, the coming days. So very excited about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should be fun. Should be interesting.
Should be really, really good.
That's it.
Yeah, follow us at House of Nerd Show on Twitter for more information on that and, to find out about more giveaways and what we're all doing. Lauren, where can the good people find you on the internet?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Friendly Neighborhood. No, Friendly MBHD Buy. I get that and Instagram mixed up. And then Instagram is at Friendly Neighborhood BIBIBI. That's 3 times of that. Come bother me. Talking a lot about the X-Men lately because I'm finally full on that ship. Like I'm not half on it, I'm full on it. It's over for me. But also talking about all these other great comics I read. I've been busy, but this next week I have more time, so hopefully I'll post more nerd things for you guys.
Dope.
Yep. Sergio, where can the good people find you on the internet?
You guys already know. Insert name INC on Twitter. Insert name comics on Instagram. Hit me up with all your comic needs. You can also shoot me an email at insertnamecomics@gmail.com, man. Thank you guys so much for tuning in every week. If you're liking the content, man, please hit that subscribe button. Hit that.
Yes, please.
Ding the bell.
It all helps.
The bell
Yeah, ring the bell too. Why not? Go for it. Ring the bell.
It makes me think of that old disco song. You can ring my bell.
Classic. I can't go wrong with disco. So yeah, thanks again every week for tuning in. We guys appreciate you guys always making the live chats live.
Yeah.
Steve,
Yeah,
where can they
and-
find you at, man?
They can find me on Twitter at Stovepost, and they can also find the TO Comic Book Club at TO Comic Book Club, where they can then find the Discord link and join us there.
Yes.
I think that kind of finishes the
Episode 8 in the
have.
bag. It was great. Man, it was good to talk about our comics this week.
Oh my gosh, it was so nice to do weekend review with you guys again. Really,
Yeah.
truly. So
and
I've missed it.
we have some other things cooking for you guys, so hopefully you're gonna keep enjoying our content, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Keep tuning into us because we do have other things that we'd like to share with you.
Yes.
And, next Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern time.
We'll be here.
Fans our boy
We'll
Steve,
be
but
here.
it'll still be good. No Steve, but it'll still be good. Guys. We promise.
So
Me and Lauren are gonna bring it.
same bat time, same bat channel. See you next time.
Heck yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great Sunday.